Hey, good morning. This is Ralph Mendez, and we're going to figure out how to do. We're going to talk about performance evaluation in chapter 22. So let me just share my screen here. All right. So here we're trying to allocate cost to departments. So Macy Department Store has 3 departments, conducts advertising that benefits all departments. So advertising costs are $104,000. And how are you going to allocate them? So here are the sales of the 3 departments. So here we're allocating based on what? Sales. So we're going to put in here. So let's enter the sales. All right, so now you have the total sales is 930,000. So what percentage is this first department of your total sales? So you're going to have to divide. So that's 25%. And then what about the 427? 46. And let's see what that is then. 46, 40, 50, 60, 71. So that has to be 29. Oops, sorry. All right, so now, let me just check my math. 269, 700 divided by the 930, 29. Now, allocate here. How much is to advertising costs are 104? Let me see if it does the math for us. 104. So then do the math. What's 104 times 25%? So 26,000. And then what's the 104 times the 0.46%? 47,840. And what's 104 times the 0.29%? So now you've allocated them based on departments. So the 104 percentage times the sales of each area. All right, let's discuss this for a minute. How to allocate costs. So this article is just from last month. How much it costs to create your product or deliver your service? Some costs are more apparent. Let's pretend you're a blue jean manufacturer. Your material costs, labor costs you incur can be easily tracked. However, how about the full cost of your product? You need to allocate overhead costs. And overhead costs, they cannot directly trace. So that's why they're called indirect cost. So these costs cannot be directly tied to a pair of jeans you produce. Therefore, every cost you incur must be tied to a product that you sell. So they used an overhead rate. Now, the peanut butter method means you spread it everywhere. You simply spread the cost evenly over every product. Well, the problem with that is, it's not very efficient. So there's also the solution for this more precise overhead allocation is activity based. So in other words, I'd like to share with you one I created for you here. How about this cost allocation? So now here's a department cost center that has total cost of $500. Product A is 50% of your cost, so they did it 50%. Project one has 30% of the cost, so they allocated 30, and then miscellaneous. So there is one way that they did it. And y'all know these types of costs: direct, indirect, overhead. Now, here's an example though, and we did this a while back because I asked you to figure out traditional overhead. We've been using direct labor for many years because labor's been the main thing we had access to, and we've used primarily used labor. But now we have artificial intelligence, we have robots, we have many things helping us. So now in ABC, activity-based, here are some activities in building a house. Clear the lot, level it and bring base, install the plumbing, pour the concrete slab, frame the walls, put a roof, put the siding, install electrical. So I hope y'all can relate to these activities. So then I asked you to create, based on this, and this house is 2,200 square feet, could you please figure out the factory overhead placed on activity base on these activities rather than just, hey, The labor is going to be 5 members working 2,000 hours this year. So that's 10,000 hours. So that's the idea. So I hope you can relate to this. That's activity based. Now let's go look at another homework problem. Rent expense allocated to departments. So first they pay $120,000 a year for a 2-story building. $120,000. And then, let's see, they allocate 65% of the rent to the first floor and 35% to the next floor. So of the 120, we got to allocate 78 to the first floor and 42,000 to the second floor. All right, so then what do we have here? These are the first floor. Jewelry, cosmetics are on the first floor, and these housewares, tools, and shoes are on the second floor. So how many square feet? Let's see. Allocate these part of the total expenses. Jewelry. So let's put square feet. 1350 and 3150. And then how about these others? 2025, 855. 2025, 855. Was that the right? 2025, 855, and then 1620. Now, what percentage of the total? So here, we've allocated based on the first and second floor. So now take this 78,000, because that's their portion of the rent. And the second floor, we're allocating 42,000. And there are many stores that are in this Farm Act. I think Dick's Sporting Goods, some of the Sears used to be that way. Macy's, many of them, Northern. So many of them have more than one floor. So now you have to multiply. Oh, that's the percent. So let's see, percent of total. Is this going to work for me? 13 feet by $78,000. Oh no, I'm sorry. I got to did it all wrong. 1350 divided by the 4,500. This is going to take 30%, and this got to be 70. And then this is 2025 divided by the 4,500. So this is 45% of it. And this is 855 divided by 4,500 is 19%. And then this is 1620 divided by 4,500. So this is 36. So they better all add up to 100. So then now take the cost. 78,000 times the 0.7 is 54.6. And then this means this has to be 23.4. And they have to add up to the allocation. And down here, you got 42,000 times the 0.45. And they have to add up now to what we allocated. That way you can check your math. So this has to match this. Just like this 42 has to be the 42 here, or we won't have done it right. So 0.19 times 42 is 79.80. And then what do we have here? 0.36 times 42 equals 15,120. It adds up to 42. That matches here. So my math's okay. All right. And then, well, let's just check our work. There's that. Did we check? Does that make that one check too? Oh, we have to check it like that. Okay. So we're okay on the first two. All right. So now let's see. Now, just out of curiosity, while we're on this, let's just say you have a store. And remember, I want you to be great managers, good managers. What items are you going to offer to sell? So look, here we have jewelry and cosmetics. So if it was me, I'd put the most, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess, but I think I'd put where the people walk in, I'd put the most profitable items. So anyway, I'd like to share with you this article. Where is it at? Oh, right here it is. Finally found it. What are the most high profit margin items to sell? So we'll figure this out in a minute ago, but I wanted to show you. Number one, jewelry. beauty products. So in this problem we're doing, here's jewelry and cosmetics. Why are they good? Right here, they have high profit margin. And if you don't know what profit margin is, we'll calculate that. Kids' toys, women's apparel, pet supplies. Oh my God, pets have increased greatly since the COVID. Phone accessories, Bluetooth speakers, socks, at-home exercise equipment. Intangibles, not sure what that is. So anyway, it's not surprising they put jewelry and cosmetics on the first floor, and maybe these items are less profitable. All right. Okay. So let's try the next one. So please you want to be thinking like a manager. How can I help the company? All right. Now here, use the information below to compute the number of days in the cash conversion cycle. Which company is more effective? Well, you're probably saying, what is the cash conversion cycle? Well, let's see if I can, cash conversion. So you think about this. You have cash, you buy inventory. How long does the inventory sit on your floor? Then you sell it, and you don't always get cash. So if you sell it on credit, that's how long it's tied up as a receivable. And then how long do you take to pay the people? All right, so you have cash, and you buy the inventory, that's 23 days, plus it's tied up here in 38 days, right? And then the days sales, you tie it up in payables. So the cash conversion. So cash back to cash. You have cash. How long does it take you to get the cash back? So let me think. Let's think about it. You buy inventory and it sits on your floor 23 days, and then you sell it and it sits another 38 days. So that's 61. But you have to pay them in 30 days. So I'm going to subtract the 30. So I'm going to say 31 days. You buy it, the inventory, it sits on your deal for 31, for 23. Then you tie it up in the receivables for 38, but you got to pay, unless I add that to that, would that make it 60, 30, 40, 50, 61, 70, 90? I'm going to say 31 because you got to pay them. In Chen, I'm going to say 51 days. No, you buy the inventory. So it sits on your floor 27, then it sits another 51 days, 78, but you got to pay them 35. So I'm going to say 43. All right. So let's check my work, see if I was wrong. Oh, all right. Got lucky. So which one's more effective? Spartan is. More effective cash management. Spartan? Oh, I got to go back. All right. So now Spartan would be the answer there. But let's look at a picture of this. Let's look at an image of this. So the days you buy, you have cash, but now you buy the raw materials, so your cash is gone. And then here's where you have to make the payment. You got to already pay for the inventory, but then you don't sell it till over here. And then it's tied up where people don't pay you. It's tied up to where people pay you, payment received. So the days of inventory is tied up from here to here, and then it's tied up in receivables from here to here. So that's your days, but you have to make the payment here already. So I hope that helps you see. Now let's just look at one more. Here's Amazon cash conversion cycle that they gave a good image. Days to pay back the suppliers, days to convert the receivables. So here it was, how many days? Amazon had 26.92 days to use the cash generated by sales to finance operations. So days to pay back suppliers was at 80. In here, they had days to convert the receivables, took them 20 days to collect, and days to convert inventory is close to 40. So right here, 35 days an item sits in the inventory, so a little over a month. 19 days it takes for Amazon to collect, and 82 days Amazon must pay back. So right here, its conversion cycle is this plus this, but it adds this. It has longer time to pay back. So anyway, I thought that was a good for y'all to see on their cash. They got 80 days to pay. So they sell it. They sit on the deal for 30, and it takes them 20 more. So 35, 45, 55 days. 55 days. But then they don't have to pay till 80. So days of inventory, days of receivables, minus when the days have to be paid. So you would minus, so this, in their case, it's longer. It's 80 days. Think about their image. Days of inventory is 30, days of receipt 35, 55, but they don't have to pay. They don't have to pay for 80 something days, okay? You don't have to pay for 82 days. All right, let's go back and do another one. Now, this is a valuation of return on investment and residual income. Two methods, return on investment and residual income. Now, I'd really like you to pay attention to return on investment because, you know, I remember the first finance book I had 50 years ago is still a return on investment. But there's a method I'm going to talk about today that we did not learn 50 years ago when I was taking this. So now, what is return on investment? What is return on investment? Now, it's also been called R.O.I, return on equity, R.O.I, return. Okay, so let's just say net income divided by average invested assets. How much profit did I make? How much were my assets? Now, they kind of made it easy. They already gave you they already gave it to you there. But think about it. It would be what you have at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year invested, you know what I mean? The average invested assets beginning of the year and end of the year divided by 2 to get the average. Now, what's the net income? Let's see if I transfer them right. 3,059,000, 2,178,000, and it did that. So how much income did it make? But how much assets did it have? So, I mean, if you have 16 million in assets and the other in the area has 12 million, you know what I mean? You should be making more income. So as they end up being, when you apply this, 19 and 18. Well, that gives you a much better image of this. So in this case, it's electronics as a better. Now let's see what else they want. That's R.O.I. Now, how about this? Assume a target income of 10. So now they want a target, means they want to make 10%. So so here's what they actually made, but the target income is 10% of the assets. So we got 16 million and 12 million. So 16 million. I need to take away a 0. Oh. There you go. Now, is that the right numbers? 16.1 and 121. So now, because 10% of 16 million is 1 million, 10% of 12 million is 1.2 million. So now the residual is what you made above that. The residual is what you made above the hurdle. So we made $1.4 million above the hurdle. And here we made 968 above the hurdle. So under R.O.I, electronics made higher return on investment, and under residual income, it also performed better. And this is what this chapter is about, performance evaluation. Let's just check out Word just out of curiosity, make sure I make a math there. All right, so we're doing okay. This one here, net income divided by average assets. How much income are you producing for the assets you've been entrusted with? Now they set a hurdle. Hey, you got to make us at least 10%. Are you making above 10%? Oh, yes, I made this much above 10%, and this department made this much above 10%. Now here they're offering you 14% return. Well, our hurdle's 10. So if you got an opportunity to make 14, then yes, you should, do the project, right? Do the project. All right, now where's 5? All right, compute the net profit. Compute the net profit. Numerator, denominator. So how do you figure out the profit margin? What's the profit margin? Now, and what's the investment turnover? What's the investment turnover? Now, before we do this, we're going to go back to 4. Return. Look what they asked you for. Return on investment. Return on investment. And this is really assets. In a way, it's a little bit of a return on assets too. Income divided by your assets. So I'd like to share with you, again, my goal is for you all to be great managers. And I'd like to share with you that Nucor Steel, you're not going to, back in the 40s, 30s and 40s, if I'm not mistaken, steel was one of our most employees. It was huge here in the United States. And that steel business is gone. It's gone to Japan and China. A few years ago, China used 1 of every 3 pounds of steel produced in the world. 1 of every 3 pounds in the world. 33% of all the steel was consumed by China in the last few years here. So now that's understandable as they're growing. So Nucor's salary is calculated based on their return on assets. So I'm sharing with you that you just finished studying budgets. I would not pay my people on the budget, but I would pay them the way Nucor Steel is. They base on the worker's performance, and that's what this chapter is about, performance evaluation, and the salary is based on the return of assets. So Nucor Steel, these are old articles here, but based on return on assets, up to 80% of their base pay. So if you're making, let's just say you're some high up manager and you're making 100,000, well, up to 80% of your salary, your bonus, can be based on how effectively you're managing the assets. Let's see. All right, so let's go back and do the problem now. So that was return on assets. So I'm telling you that you can use this in life to pay your people, because that is the measurement. I was trying to see what it is right here. Nucor, Tuck School of Business, Dartmouth, the ability to take top wages, attract hardworking, dedicated, performance target, a return of 25% on assets employed within that plant. I'll just click on that article to see what it says. We're a cyclical business. Basically, when you're at the peak of cycle, times are good, interest rates are low. When we go to the trough, the margins are squeezed. Nucor has never had a losing quarter whenever this was published. Let's see. They trace it automatic Ohio. They suffered several money-losing years. In 65, faced bankruptcy, installed 39-year-old Ken Iverson as president. Iverson had a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering from Cornell and a master's. But then they changed, though, to this strategy focused on competencies. But then they changed the pay for performance. Now, look, they're a very flat organization. Compared to the typical Fortune 500 companies with 10 or more management layers, Nucor's structure was decentralized with only 4 management layers. And I'll tell you right now, 10 years ago, when we talked about adding these deans at the school and vice presidents, and I said, no, you have too many layers of management compared to business, but they did it anyway. But here's successful people right here, 10 or more level of management, typical Fortune 500, and Nucor Steel has a chairman, vice chairman, president, vice president, department manager, supervisor. Very flat organization. So So if you're a janitor and you get 5 promotion, you'll be the president. That close. All right. So anyway, I want you to realize you could pay your people based on okay. I can't find my article now. All right. So let's go back here to number 5, last one. Look what they did now. They have taken the ROI and broken it into 2, the profit margin and the investment turnover. So we're going to prove this because this is net income divided by the sales. And the investment turnover is the sales divided by the assets, right? This is how much income do you make on the sale? You sell a cup of coffee for $5 at Starbucks. How much income did you make? $4, $4.50. So that's the income on a sale of $5. That's your profit margin. And over here, the investment turnover is how much sales did you have for the assets? Sales divided by the assets. Well, this tells you the turnover. All right. So now where did this come from? And this is very powerful. And I didn't learn this 50 years ago. I mean, I don't remember them teaching me DuPont Formula. So now this tells you the profit margin. So this tells you if you're making enough profit margin on your products, and this tells you your investment turnover. So again, profit margin, think of the cup of coffee at Starbucks. You paid $5. I went the other day and got a latte for my daughter with an extra shot of espresso. It was $6. Well, how much did they make on that? What did it cost them? 50 cents. So they made $5.50 on a $6 sale. All right. Now the turnover tells you how much sales are you producing for your assets? How much sales are you producing for your assets? So that's what I would like to share with you right here. Chick-fil-A is killing them. Their average store sales are $4.5 million compared to McDonald's $2.9 million per store. This is per store last year. Okay, this is I think 17 or 18. A Wendy's does 1.6. A Taco Bell does about 1.4 or 5. A Popeyes does 1.4. A Kentucky Fried Chicken does about 1.1. So now imagine this. Take the equation now. Sales. This is the sales divided by what it costs to build that location. So let's just make it simple today. It costs $1 million to buy the land and build that little restaurant. $1 million. So $4 million divided by $1 million is 4.58. Well, what does that mean to you? 2.93 divided by 1 is 2.93. 1.67, 1.45 divided by 1 million is 1.45. But what does that mean? What does that mean? That means for $1 of assets, they're producing sales of $1.45. For $1 of assets, they're producing $2.93 of sales. In here, for $1 of assets in that location, they're producing sales of $4.58, 4.5 times of the assets. So that is phenomenal. And by this method, you're able to see it. So this is a very powerful method to evaluate your operations. Hey, how much money are we making on each product? And how's our sales to our investment turnover? Let's see. So we talked about what maybe to decide to sell in your store. We want you to be great managers. So what is a high profit margin? Right here. What are your high profit margin? Which ones are highly profitable? Well, here they are. So maybe that's what you put in your store. That's how a manager thinks. What's high profit? What do I need to sell? Now, here's the DuPont formula. Profit margin, investment turnover. Well, let's look at it. Let's look at it a couple of different ways here. Net income divided by revenue, revenue divided by total assets, times assets divided by shareholders' equity. So here it's expanded into 3, but look what it tells you right down here. Right down. So here are the 2 formulas. Profit margin is income divided by revenue. Asset turnover is your revenue divided by how many assets you have. Return on assets, or this DuPont formula, income divided by revenue and revenue divided by assets. But this one tells you your profit margin. This one tells you your asset turnover. Now, look where it comes from. This tells you your profitability. This one tells you your asset turnover. And this tells you your leverage, assets divided by your average stockholders' equity. Now, look where this came from. What year did this evolve? You're not going to believe it. And and here I was never taught that. But anyway, 1912. It was developed by a salesman in 1912. Used the formula in the 1920s. DuPont explosive salesman Donaldson Brown invented the formula internal efficiency report in 1912. Now, look what it's composed of: profitability, asset efficiency, and financial leverage. The profit margin, your turnover, and your financial leverage. And here it is. You can always go to Investopedia if you want to look and study this again. Profit margin, turnover, financial leverage. All right. So now that's your assignment. And I want to share with you one other thing about, I've asked you to think about being a great manager. That's what I hope you become in this course right here. I remember this when it happened. I remember this. Fox News called him a lunatic back in 2015 for paying all the employees $70,000. So the CEO of Gravity Payments, Dan Price, announced in 15 that everyone in the company would get a pay raise to at least $70,000 a year, and he would slash his salary from $1 million to $70,000. Fox News pounced. The Rabbit Facts host called him a foolish, a lunatic, and gasped, a socialist. They said his employees would be on the welfare lines. Rush Limbaugh said this is pure unadulterated socialism, which has never worked. And if you'll think about it, many times when we talk about raising the minimum wage, you have all these kind of things that it's going to hurt business and how terrible it is. Rush Limbaugh said, that's why I hope this case is a case study in MBA programs on how socialism does not work, because it's going to fail. Oh, how wrong they were. This is 15. It's been 6 years. So this article is from April 14th, yesterday. 6 years later, Dan Price tells with a series of tweets, his company's revenue has tripled. Their company base has doubled. The ownership of homes by its employees grew by 10 times. So if there was one employee that owned a house, now it's 10 of them. And 70% of their employees have paid down their debt. He's been hailed as a success by Harvard Business School and Inc. magazine, which noted the number of employees at Gravity has doubled, while the value of payments that the company process has gone from 3.8 to 10 billion. How about that for productivity? Maybe people are productive because they're being paid well and they can take care of their lives and not worry and feel good and buy a home and pay their debts. One thing in Limbaugh might have gotten right. This company will hopefully become a case study in MBA programs. Again, I ask you, please, I want you to be a great manager and don't listen just to what everybody else is saying. Look at some things of real results of taking care of your employees and your people. Okay, all right, that's it for me today. I hope that you got your homework done, and God bless y'all. Stop share. All right, that was chapter 24, in meaning for all.